Sentient beings, Nick here as ever with another Basic Batches episode. My apologies for those of you keeping up in real time for not putting out an episode last week. I overindulged very much so last weekend and spent the rest of the week quite sick with a cold. Don't worry, it's nothing but man flu. I can get over it and I pretty much have got over it. But this episode is going to be based around the previous episode we did, the lasagna one, where I'm going to go into the techniques of making a roux. This is going to be more of a documentary style, hopefully, with a bit more voiceover work than usual. It's not going to be cutting between me and the cooking itself. It's just going to be me talking over the cooking as I do it. A little bit more like what they do with Lofty Pursuits, the YouTube channel. So here we have the butter, around about 60 grams, gently melting away there in the pan. What we're going to do to make a roux is add an equal amount of white power or white flour. So you can see it bubbling away, turning a lovely golden colour slowly but surely. From this point we're going to add the flour and then give it a good mix through with the whisk. Two, and a tiny smidge more. Oh, yeah, that's plenty. Good work. Alright, so now we're going to whisk it off the heat, thank you. God, it's so hard to get good help these days. We're going to whisk it through off the heat, just to make sure all the butter has coated all the flour. And we're going to turn the heat down, thank you, so that it doesn't burn while we start to cook away some of that liquid that's still in the butter. At this point we're turning the flour more into a toasty flavour and toasty smell. This ensures that it will absorb as much liquid as possible. The longer we leave it, this is a roux by the way, the longer we leave the roux, the less it's going to be able to absorb moisture, but the more flavour it itself will impart. So, lid on the white power, always got to keep a lid on the white power, and we're going to add a little bit of milk now that our roux is bubbling away. Now, roux can be used for a lot of different things. It's a fantastic base. I use roux for, as you can see in this case, the béchamel sauce for the lasagna, where I add just milk and a couple of herbs. We can also use roux for gravies, in which you add a bay leaf and some stock, whether it's beef or chicken or vegetable stock if you're a vegetarian. We can also use roux for doing other bits and pieces as well. So if we want to thicken a stock or if we want to thicken a sauce that we've already got going. Adding the milk now. In total we're going to be adding around about 800 millilitres of liquid, in this case milk for our bechamel, and I'll be adding that in parts once it absorbs and evaporates away. So you can also use your roux to thicken up a sauce or a stock. Or a soup. In the future I'm going to be doing, in the same location as this, I'm going to be doing an episode on shepherd's pie with some lamb mince. If I need to thicken up that sauce at all, because it can get quite runny because I'm adding a lot of liquid, I will take some of the liquid out of the shepherd's pie mix and I'll add it to a roux and whisk that through so that we can have a thicker sauce overall, more like a gravy. We also use a roux to start off, one of my favourite comfort foods ever. That is a tuna mornay, or as I like to do it, a tuna and pasta mornay. So mornay is essentially this kind of sauce, this bechamel sauce, with cheese added into it to turn it into, what is commonly known as a mornay sauce. You can also add other spices and other herbs in as well. You can add things like wine or a wine jus if you really want. but in this case we're just going with milk because it's just a plain bechamel. We don't want to do too much flavour in the bechamel sauce because we've worked really hard on that bolognese sauce that we've got at the back in the big old pot there, and we kind of want that to do the majority of the talking because it's a lovely rich hearty flavour, especially with all that zucchini and carrot and onion and stuff in there. We really want that to do the majority of the work in our faces while we're ingesting it. So in my left hand there I've got a few herbs. I reckon, if I remember rightly, I have some rosemary and I have some thyme, like the detectives in the UK television show from the mid 2000s. 2000s as a decade, not as a century. There we go, whisk, 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 making sure it's nice and thin so that we can smear it. You'll notice I've turned the heat up a fair bit as well. That's just because I'm impatient and I just want to get it done. Oh, there we go, herbs are in, herbs are in. Good lad. You can see them floating away there. And you will probably notice in the, oh yeah, there we go. Sprinkle, yes, that's time, everybody. It takes time to do a dish like this, and it takes time to make jokes that bad. But I'm going to continue doing it. So, yeah, you will have noticed in the original video for the lasagna that I did smear quite thick globules, let's say, of this sauce. That's because I got a little bit overexcited and I left the heat up for too long, which is by no means a mistake because it helped the dish. But if I did have all the time in the world and I wasn't serving, you know, 7 people, I would have certainly taken my time a bit more. It doesn't matter as long as you get the result you want. This isn't a cooking show. This isn't a Great British baking show thing. This isn't Mr. Chief. It's just cooking. It's just cooking. You've just got to get the job done. So here I am whisking away using this neon blue whisk. Fascinating thing that is. And turning the heat up a little bit. It's right. It will evaporate away as I am cleaning up the bench. I should absolutely thank the hosts for that day, and in the future I need to thank them again for when I go over and do the shepherd's pie show. And I have to thank my fantastic volunteers who, sight unknown, came and ate this lasagna, which I have shown you how to make in a previous episode, or the previous episode. So thank you very much for watching. As ever, it's been an absolute joy to bring this video to you. If you would like to make a comment, please do. If you'd like to subscribe as well, I would sincerely encourage that. And I would definitely recommend giving it a like as well. Any kind of feedback you have is absolutely welcomed. My aim is to make this video series as accessible as possible, and that involves getting content that suits the viewers better too. So please let me know what you want and I will try to make that happen. As always, thank you so much.